Welcome to Conversations at the Moth. In this episode, we're chatting with storyteller and poet Hannah Drake. Listen to this clip from Hannah's story, Go Back and Tell, and after our conversation, stick around to hear one of Hannah's most noteworthy poems. We hope you enjoy this conversation.
My daughter and I started to tour the plantation homes. And when I say homes, this is not like a 2-bedroom home here. They are mansions, sprawling mansions, and you still have to pay to get into them. And I thought at this point, can I get in for free? I mean, at least a discount. And we started touring them, and I remember my daughter and one started touching everything, and I was looking at her, and they still had the fine china and the bedding and solid gold chandeliers, and she was touching everything in the rooms. And I said, why are you doing that? I thought for sure they're gonna put us out of here. And she said, I wanted to touch things that I knew slaves wouldn't be able to touch. And we continued to visit other plantation homes, and in one, everything kind of started to look the same. So I asked one of the tour guides, well, take me to the slave quarter, show me that. And I get that these homes are beautiful, but that is not where I would have been. Take me where my people would have been. And she said, oh, we've covered those up. We've turned those into offices. And just like that, once again, the history of who I am was gone.
Welcome. Hannah Drake is a writer, poet, and activist. She told her story, Go Back and Tell, on the Moth stage. And so we just wanted to follow up with her a little bit, hear some more, and dig a little deeper. So Hannah, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks for sharing that powerful story. I think you put words to a lot of what people are feeling about this country's past and its present, right? So I want to ask you, so I know you're a spoken word artist, you're an author, you're a storyteller, and a performer. So you're used to sharing your words and your feelings, but yes. What did it feel like to tell this particular story on the Moth stage?
It was actually one of the first times that I told a story and I didn't have paper in front of me. Like I just had to come out and share this story. So it's kind of nervous, but when I was asked to do it, I knew that this would be the story that I told, because I thought it was important for me, and I thought it would be important for other people to hear it. And people still reach out to me about that story.
Oh yeah, no, it's quite amazing. And I've spoken to you about this before, like had the chance to meet you and talk to you. What resonated to me was that one scene where you're in the plantation home. Right now, yeah. I haven't been to the Door of No Return, but I did visit a plantation home in New Orleans. And the same thing that struck you struck me. And it was that big fancy table with that beautiful silk cord reaching over the middle of the table to the room, to the corner of the room. And all I could picture was this poor enslaved child pulling that thing. And my mind I made stories. It hit me and broke my heart in so many places. And I want to talk to you about that because your tour guide said something that was really beautiful. He's like, don't weep for her, Hannah, because when people sit and have dinner, they talk.
Right.
And go and take that back to her mother.
So that was when I saw the fan and I didn't know what it was, why it was there. But I learned then, he told me it was called a punka. They actually, he told me, had ones where a slave child would have to sit in the fan above the table and rock, and it would rock the fan back and forth. But this one at this particular plantation home had the string attached to it that went off to the corner. And I was so completely heartbroken that someone would be enslaved simply for the purposes of waving or pulling this string and keeping flies off food. It was mind-boggling to me. But for him to put it in that perspective, that he said typically it was a child and typically it would be a girl. So this girl had this very important job to stand in that space and go back and tell her mother everything that she heard at the table, because that might be a signal for them to be able to run for freedom, to escape. And so it was certainly a different way for me to look at it. And even in today's times when I think about being in uncomfortable spaces. And I've shared my poem Spaces many, many, many times. It's probably my most requested poem ever. And that's what it speaks about, to that many of us are called to be space makers, right? And it's not going to feel great. And it is going to feel uncomfortable, but we're there for a reason. And most of us are there to make space for other people. And when you see it that's that way, and I say in the poem, that's why I stand in these spaces even when it makes me uncomfortable. I'm here because I know I'm making space for people that will come behind me. And so I can imagine her in this corner, pretty much, I'm sure, just ignored. But all of the information that she is gathering, and the people around the table never being aware that this little girl could be the reason that people that were enslaved were able to escape to freedom. That was empowering for me, and I didn't weep for her anymore. I understood that even in that position, even in such oppression, there was still a role for everybody when you're talking about seeking freedom or justice.
I want to bring it a little bit present. You know, living through so much darkness, I don't need to tell you that. In your story, you touch upon the murders of, you know, Fernando Castile and Alton Sterling. We've had since then Elijah McClain and, of course, Breonna Taylor. You know, it's really heavy, and we're so devastated by this. And how do we stay hopeful? That's $1 million question, but what can we do to advance a cause? Like, what do you think? Is there something that each of us can do to feel a little more empowered instead of just feeling straight out devastated?
Right. So I think it's real easy, especially if you've been protesting or on the front lines and you're doing the work every day, to give up hope, to believe that this world just is going to be what it's going to be. But for some reason, and I some days don't know why, I just believe that this world can be better. I believe that human beings at the core can love each other, and they're not hateful people. I believe that hate is simply taught. And I think that if we continue to, like when I fight for things or speak up about things, inherently, you know, I do believe that I'm fighting for something probably that I won't see in my lifetime. But think about how many people did fight for things that they were never able to see. And like, in fact, you know, Martin Luther King said that I may not get there with you, right? You know, like, I've been to the mountaintop, I've seen it, and I may not get to the other side of this with you. And in fact, he didn't. And there's so many leaders that our job, I tell people all the time, I garden and I look at fighting for justice like gardening. And some people have different roles when it comes to gardening. And here in my garden, my brother-in-law tilled the ground, and my daughter helped me with another aspect, and I planted the seeds. And sometimes my friend will come over and help me water it. And we each have different roles along the process of getting to this harvest. You may not see the harvest, but we all have roles along the way when it comes to fighting. And I think if you see it that way, it will encourage you not to give up. Like, your job may just be to plant the seed and somebody else will water it.
I think the other thing you talk about that I found really touching goes back to history. You know, you talk about how so many of our stories were lost in the cotton fields, and that just kills me, all our ancestors. And there's just so much that we aren't taught. And I bring this up because that beautiful New York Times 1619 project that they're trying to get into curriculums across the country.
Right.
We have some people that have a problem with that, calling it revisionist history. You know, we're not taught these things in school. And how does that affect us as a whole, as a country, and us as Black people?
I think certainly when we aren't taught about other people, that's why we continue to have racism, because people learn certain things and they never take the time to unlearn them. And I've always said that Black people and people of color have always learned about white people, and white people must be intentional about learning about Black people and people of color and our history. There are so many things that Black people and people of color have contributed to America, to the world. But you know, the hard part is, this is where people get stuck often. When white people look at the history of America, and really it could be the history of this world, you aren't going to look like a victor. You are going to look like someone that has victimized people. And that's difficult to deal with. Yeah. And what is that saying? You know, as long as the lion doesn't tell the story, then the hunter will always be the victor, right? And so there are some painful truths that this nation must face, and the harm that has been caused to people of color and Black people. That's just reality. There is no getting around it.
I talk about something a little more fun, because I know you're a fun kind of person too, and so powerful. But I wanted to share something that's not in your story, but can you tell us a little bit about that not even 6 degrees of separation from Michelle Obama? It happened to you because I believe it was a poem that you wrote?
I absolutely love Michelle Obama. And so when she came out with her book, someone took a photo of her book signing in Chicago, which was massive. And I couldn't believe it. And I thought, as a writer, I'm not dreaming big enough, right? And not that I'm Michelle Obama, but Michelle Obama, before we know her as Michelle Obama, is a Black woman just doing what she does, right? And ascended to this greatness. You know, she was on this path, but she was, as she went, she became. And so I went to, this is so funny to me when I tell the story, but I went to Target and I changed all the magazines and put her in front. I changed all the magazines. So I made my tweet and said, I need to dream bigger. And if Michelle Obama can do this, then I can do this. And then I went to Target and put all of her magazines in the front row. And then I went out that evening and my phone started going crazy. And my friend said, Michelle Obama just tweeted you. And I'm like, no, what? No, Michelle Obama, are you kidding? And sure enough, she did. And she told me to keep dreaming and to keep dreaming. And, you know, as I'm on my road to becoming. But, you know, I tell people all the time, I never imagined I would wake up that morning and be talking about Michelle Obama. And then in less than 24 hours, Michelle Obama would be talking back to me. Right. I guess that's just how the universe works, or whatever people want to call it. But it was amazing. And things like that have often happened, where several people have shared my work on Twitter or Instagram. And I'm thankful for that, because it's just, I think I have a message. I knew I had something to say to the world. And I'm glad that the world is starting to pay attention.
I think you conjured her up. And,
I must have. It was my magic.
Some juju. It's a poem called "All You Had to Do Was Play the Game Boy."
Yes.
So if anyone wants to look that up, it's a great one. I mean, Hannah has. I think everyone should go to hannahdrake.com. See all of Hannah's work, but she's really incredible. So I'm not surprised that everyone's reaching out to you, because especially right now, it's so ripe for you to be telling your stories and talking to us. You know.
Thank you.
And finally, I want to ask you. Finish this sentence for me. Storytelling is important because?
Storytelling is important because it is important for us to own our narrative. Don't let anybody else own your story. You tell your story.
Amen to that. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing another story from you when you're ready.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah.
All you had to do was throw the ball, boy. We concealed this auction block well, didn't we, boy? You didn't know you were on sale, boy? Didn't we tell you to just run, boy? Entertain us, boy. Win championships for us, boy. Stay in your place, boy. Don't you dare get these other niggas, I mean black men, riled up, boy. Didn't we pay you enough, boy? Why can't you just be satisfied, boy? Stand up and salute this flag, boy. Honor your allegiance to the system, boy. Didn't we give you enough money to entice you, boy? How dare you reject your master, boy? Didn't you like your name in lights, boy? Didn't we stroke your ego, boy? All you needed to do was play the game, boy. Keep dancing for us on Monday night, boy. Make us rich, boy. We don't care if you get hurt, boy. Our job is to break bucks like you, boy. Didn't you know boys like you come a dime a dozen, boy? We can replace you with no thought, boy. Make sure our new boy is a control boy. Thought you knew we didn't trust Negroes to be quarterbacks anyways, boy. We did you a favor, boy. How dare you turn your back on us, boy? If you are kneeling, it will be before us, boy. Ain't this game your God, boy? Don't you see how everyone else bows down before us, boy? Don't you know what we do to Negroes like you, boy? You see, back in the day, we let Negroes like you sway in trees, boy. Make an example out of you, boy, so other niggas just stay in their place, boy. Don't you smell that strange fruit in the air, boy? You see, all you had to do was just shut up, boy. We ain't gotta kill you, boy. All we gotta do is just silence you, boy.